from the news station. Fox 35 News Edge at 11 starts now.
Breaking right now on the News Edge, the brand new 11 o'clock advisory is now out. Good evening. Welcome, everybody. I'm Charles Valai.
And I'm Luann Sorrell. The chief joins us now, meteorologist Glenn Richards. What does the new advisory show?
It shows more of a movement to the north, and a brand new forecast track takes it farther away.
Yes.
Good news. Here is that track right now. You can see in the red the cone, again, moving up to the north and then eventually moving to the north and east again as we go through the next 48 hours off of our east coast. Right now on the satellite picture, you can see the latest coordinates. Right now it is stationary. Winds are currently 130 miles per hour, so it's still a major hurricane, but is now down to a Category 3 hurricane. It's just sitting and spinning in the same spot. But take a look again how oblong it is. It's getting real heavy now on the east side. A little bit of dry air is coming in out of the west, a little bit of wind shear is hitting it. So the strongest winds are now way out to the east, and that is where all the heaviest rain is also currently located. On a close-up view, we see two things. One, unfortunately, the eye is still sitting just north of Grand Bahama. There's Freeport. All the resorts are down here. The airport's back there. They're just getting pummeled by that storm surge. But the good news here, look at the going from red to that green and yellow. That's an indication that the cloud tops are lowering, which means they are weakening, which means the rain intensity is coming down. So right now, pressure 946 millibars. So that's coming up. That's good. Here is that brand new forecast track. Let's take a look at the cone and see if it includes any of Florida. This is tomorrow at 8 p.m. off the coast of Indian River County with winds of 125 miles per hour. Now traveling farther to the east. Wind at the center now would be at least 100 miles offshore. Not Charlie, but Matthew, back a couple of years ago, that was actually sitting just only about 40 miles offshore. So this is going to be 100 miles offshore, and this would be Wednesday at 8 a.m. So again, that would be the nearest it goes. And look at the cone of air, no longer includes any of the Florida peninsula. So again, that's fantastic. Look at the turn as we get into later Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, zips on out of here, goes off the Carolinas by Friday. Again, the computer model's tightly packed tonight. Everything is now taking it to the north and northwest. We may continue to see a little bit more of that easterly push. Wouldn't be a bit surprised if in the end we find it about 100 to 120 miles offshore for the center. Real quick, I want to show you the winds, at least the timing for tomorrow. We'll go through the remainder of this later, but tomorrow at about 2 in the afternoon, that is when the winds will still be picking up, about 30 to 36 mile per hour sustained winds with gusts, of course, much higher than that, 39 miles per hour is tropical storm force. But the strongest winds do not arrive actually until tomorrow evening. Take a look at this, 45 and 44. That's at 11:30 tomorrow night. So Charles and Luann will talk more about the timing of the wind, county by county, also how much rain and still how much surge to expect. It's all coming up.
Good news. Thank you, sir. Storm preps in central Florida, however, turning deadly tonight. A man who was trimming his trees falling to his death.
Let's get out to the news station. Samantha Sosa, she is live on the scene with the latest. Sam.
I'm on Suzette Drive in Ocoee, where emergency crews tell me that a man in his 50s was trimming a tree in his front yard in anticipation of Hurricane Dorian. He was using a chainsaw to do so. Fire chief tells us at some point the man fell from the tree, sustaining injuries to his head. He was rushed to Health Central Hospital. It's just a few minutes away from here, where he sadly didn't make it. Family tells me the man had done this many times in the past, saying the victim was somewhat of a handyman and wanted to protect his family's home from tree branches because they experienced some damage during Hurricane Irma. Ocoee Battalion Chief Edwin Yeoman asked people who are continuing to make preps for the hurricane to do so as safely as possible, to use ladders, and if you don't have experience, to hire professionals.
Get somebody professional to trim your trees because it's not worth your life. And a lot of people are not trained to do it. In some instances, we find that people are climbing trees and not even using ladders to make that happen by trimming trees. And if you are going to do it, you got to have other people around too to assist you.
Now, this victim has not been identified. What the family has told us is that he's a father of 3 and a grandpa. As we learn new information, we'll report to you. For now, I'm reporting live in Ocoee. Samantha Sosa, Fox 35 News.
Sam, thank you. Dorian tearing through the Bahamas, leaving death and destruction in its wake. Officials saying at least 5 people are dead, more than 20 injured. This is video from the Freeport airport there. Can you see it? No, because it's under several feet of water. Staff and passengers evacuated as these floodwaters surged. Tonight, the storm is still hovering over that island.
And it will likely be days before we get a full understanding of the devastation. But the glimpses we are getting tonight are terrifying.
There's not a single leaf left on any tree. Every room in this house has the windows blown out except for the one we stayed in right here. And when this roof started to leak and we saw furniture from upstairs come down, we knew we had to get out of here, and we ran into this closet over here. Right about here is where I went down and slid into the car.
Officials estimating a storm surge of up to 23 feet.
Tonight, we are hearing from one woman who is stuck on that island, and she's looking for her friends.
The news station's Heather Gustafson spoke with her.
Hurricane Dorian continued its unrelenting assault on the Grand Bahama and Abaco Islands, causing extreme destruction. Up to 180-mile-per-hour winds, storm surges rising to 18 feet above tide levels, and at least 5 people confirmed dead. Bahamas resident Roxy Starr spoke to us from a landline from the island of New Providence.
When I say my heart is breaking, it almost seems like it's not descriptive enough, but I literally feel my heart breaking, and I'm trying my best not to go in a state of panic.
The death toll is expected to rise once the water goes down and emergency crews can go back in. Starr says she's safe for now, but she's unable to reach some of her family and her friends on different islands.
And you see these videos, and you're hearing stories of unconfirmed loss of life, and you're just wondering, did they make it? Did they survive? Are they one of the people they can't reach? Are they trapped somewhere? Are they somewhere screaming and hanging on for their life?
She says structures in the Bahamas are up to code, but nothing can survive a storm like this. Roofs blown off, flooding everywhere. And because of the storm's stubborn refusal to move past the Bahamas, officials with the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, a relief group based in Barbados, they may not be able to visit the island until Wednesday afternoon. Starr is begging the international community to act quickly and lend a hand. Heather Gustafson, Fox 35 News.
Back home in Volusia County, wind and waves starting to pick up on the coast.
Let's get out to the news station's Holly Bristow. She is live tonight in Volusia County. And Holly, you also spoke with a man who's stranded in the Bahamas, right?
I did. I actually was introduced to him by his son, who lives here in Daytona Beach. He's lived in the U.S. for about 6 years, but he still has lots of family over in the Bahamas, including his dad. He was on WhatsApp with him this afternoon, the dad in Freeport, and then he handed the phone over to me so I could talk to his dad about what was going on and what he was experiencing during Hurricane Dorian.
We've been going through this storm now since Sunday afternoon around 2 p.m. The wind started picking up, and it's just intensified.
Simeon Otten holed up at his in-laws' home in Freeport, Bahamas, riding out Hurricane Dorian.
So it's just really the worst I've ever experienced. I don't wish this on my worst enemy. The wind, I'm talking 200 miles an hour wind. You get to that point where there's absolutely nothing you can do. I'm listening to the winds like 10 freight trains together, all crashing into one another. I hope we never in our lifetime see something like this again.
His home sits 4 feet off the ground, but he's now got 3 feet of water inside.
It's nothing like I have ever seen before.
Sharing this video taken earlier in the storm from the Freeport Police Department. Hurricane Dorian is still bearing down on Freeport.
What does it look like when you look out your window?
Confusion. A whole lot of confusion, trees down, poles down, wires down, water is running from everywhere. It's a mess.
As he rides out the rest of the storm, he asks that you remember the Bahamas.
However you can be of some assistance to us, we're gonna need help.
absolutely horrifying. This man says that he's just waiting for the sun to come up tomorrow morning, for the storm to kind of lessen quite a bit so he can go around and check on some of his church members. He's the head of a big church down there in the Bahamas. A lot of them were evacuating to his church. He wanted to check on them there and also get around town to see how those who stayed at home fared. Now, he was saying wind gusts of over 200 miles an hour here in Daytona Beach. I've been playing with our little wind gauge here, and we've had gusts in the last 10 minutes up to 17.7 miles per hour, which just pales in comparison to what those poor folks in the Bahamas are dealing with. For now, reporting live in Daytona Beach, Holly Bristow, Fox 35 News.
Well, you can call this bad or good timing. A woman moving to Melbourne just in time for Dorian to strike.
The news station's Lara Greenberg is live tonight with her story. Lara.
Well, Luann and Charles, it was good timing for her because she actually moved down to Florida to study ocean engineering, and what a view she's been getting of the ocean since she's been here, and what a view we've been getting as well. It's still rough out here, wind picking up. You see those white caps as the ocean rolls in with pretty high tide right now, and this is what it's been looking like all day. Take a look at this video from earlier. You could see those choppy waters were happening all day today. A lot of people coming out here in Brevard County to check out the surf and to take their own pictures and just see it for themselves. And she was one of those people who came out here today.
Thought that the waves would be a little bit bigger, but you know, the wind is crazy, how dark it is, how many people are out here too is fascinating. Yeah. You did not think that there would be people out here right now.
Well, finally, at 11 o'clock, there are not people out here right now except for us. Again, that wind's still picking up, and also because of the worsening weather conditions here, as you know, Uber was offering free rides to people who were going to shelters. They are suspending those free rides at midnight here in Brevard County because of those worsening conditions, saying that they will continue those rides and continue service when the weather gets a little bit better. For now, we are live in Brevard County. Lara Greenberg, Fox 35 News. Sending it back to you guys.
Lara, thank you. Stay safe out there. Orange County giving an update from its Emergency Operations Center. Mayor Jerry Deming is giving the latest information about Dorian, announcing that Orange County government will be closed for normal business tomorrow. He says they're keeping a very close eye on this storm.
While we hope the impact from the storm will be minimal, we must continue to prepare, as this storm is extremely dangerous and its path is, at this time, really uncertain. We hope for the best, but we must plan for the worst.
The mayor saying 150 people have already checked into the county's shelters.
Several County issuing voluntary evacuations for anyone in mobile homes, low-lying areas, and flood zones. Shelters have been open at schools across the county, and the Sanford Airport closed at 11 o'clock tonight.
And in Osceola County, a curfew will go into effect from tomorrow at 11 p.m. to Wednesday at 6 a.m. The county has also issued a voluntary evacuation for low-lying areas and mobile homes. The news station continues to monitor Hurricane Dorian around the clock, and coming up, it's not just the beaches that are worried about the storm.
No, some inland communities also fear that all the rain will lead to flooding. That story after the break. Welcome back. Check this out. Lightning flashing in the cockpit as hurricane hunters fly over Hurricane Dorian. The Air Force has been making regular flights into the storm, helping forecasters like Glenn track the intensity of the hurricane. And tonight, some of Dorian's outer bands are already affecting the coast.
The news station's Heather Gustafson is live on Cocoa Beach tonight. And Heather, earlier we saw the wind whipping up a little bit. I'm sure it's the same way.
Wind, we saw maybe one lightning strike and rain on and off, but for the most part, weather out here on Cocoa Beach right by the pier is nice. It's just the waves and the ocean that you got to watch out for, and I made the rookie mistake. I got my socks wet in hour, I don't know, 3 of hurricane watch, but it's because of the waves right now. You can see they go out so far. We're really not that close to the ocean right now. We get here thinking that this is just where the beach should be, and then the waves come flying up here. One rogue wave got me, went over my boots, and now my socks are wet. But take a look at this water out here, the choppy ocean. We got some video earlier in the night, the rain on and off throughout the night so far. We did see a couple stragglers, some locals out here and some tourists who are out here for Labor Day weekend, but it seems that most everyone who was on the beach earlier tonight, they've gone back inside. They just wanted to take a look at these awesome waves. I mean, it is incredible to hear and see them, even out here in the dark. These are the biggest waves I've ever seen out here on the coast of Brevard County, and we can also hear them crashing against the pier. Cocoa Beach Pier closed for the night, but when you look up there, coming back out here live, all the TVs are on. They got sports coverage going, so we know that power is still on out here in Cocoa Beach for the time being. We're going to see if we see any more rain, any more lightning, but for now, it's just those loud waves crashing in and the wind. And look how high it's coming up. We're not even that close to the water. So this is what we've been dealing with, and this is what some of the danger is. As Glenn was talking about, the storm surge, it can come in really fast when that hurricane gets closer to us. Thankfully, not going to be as close as we originally thought, but anyone out here on the coast or by the beach, be careful. Again, rip currents, all of these things to think about. So really not a great idea to go out into the water. Not a good day for swimming. We'll send it back to you guys in the studio. For now, we're live in Brevard County. I'm Heather Gustafson, Fox 35 News.
Before we let you go, I have to roast you. You are a rookie. Letting your socks get wet, that is a huge no-no. How many times has that happened to us?
Never.
Huge mistake.
I've never let my socks get wet. No. But Heather's more brave than I was. See, I wasn't like traipsing in the ocean. I was standing on the beach.
Well, you know, I had my Crocs on.
We thought we were on the beach. Oh, God.
I knew she would
I
say
agree,
something like
Heather.
that. Hey, they're perfect for hurricane coverage, so knock it off. You'll want them later.
All right, Heather, thank you.
Thanks, Heather.
Thanks.
Your Fox 35 Weather Authority with Chief Meteorologist Glenn Richards.
Charles, you keep the Crocs. All right, it looks like for us right now, the winds are 130 miles per hour, so that's good. It's come down. It's right on the edge of Cat 3, Cat 4. It's as low as it can go and still be officially a Category 4 hurricane. Right now, it's going to make a slow drift to the north. It is stationary still right now based on the latest observations from the Hurricane Center. The great news tonight, what we can see on the satellite picture, is that it is no longer shaped very well. It has a lot on the east and northeast side now. That's where all the real strong winds are and all the heaviest rain. That's an indication it's going to slowly start to move more northerly later on tonight, and that's the reason why the official forecast track has been shifted farther away from Florida again, which continues to be great news. Hate to see this, though. Still, our winds are blowing 130 miles per hour. They're coming down a little bit, but this has been nonstop all day. It started last night at midnight. This is going on for 24 hours straight. The winds blowing at least 130 miles per hour or more. Again, the strongest winds now, though, are on the east side of the center, but at times they do get wrapped around. So just another violent night tonight. I cannot even imagine going for a full 24 hours of winds over 100 miles per hour outside your home, what that must feel like. Again, emotionally, that's tough. All right, it looks like with the wind field for us, the winds will be increasing at about 11:43 tomorrow morning in Brevard County. Again, this is highlighting only areas where we have tropical storm force or greater. So that's 39 miles per hour. So that starts up around noon in Brevard County, then works its way up along the coast. That'll be 7 o'clock tomorrow evening. Notice, though, based on the little shift to the east, that the tropical storm force sustained winds do not make it into Orlando. They do not get into Seminole County. So this will be Wednesday at 5:30 in the morning. Again, the height of the storm is going to be late tomorrow evening and overnight. And then as we get into Wednesday by around sunup, we will be looking at the winds. Tropical storm force still going on in Volusia and also in Flagler County, and also some right here, especially in Brevard County with the departing storm, the winds out of the west. But then by 2 in the afternoon, that's about it. Just Flagler County is left with some strong winds. And then by around 10 o'clock in the evening, everything definitely does calm down. Locally now, specifically, looking at some cities now in Ocala, we're expecting winds in the morning about 16 miles per hour if you're watching us on Fox 51, 14 miles per hour up in Gainesville, breeze out of the north-northeast, 20 miles per hour up in Flagler County, up in Palm Coast. So that'll be first thing in the morning. Those are your sustained winds. As we get into the afternoon, they start to pick up 30 to 36 over in Melbourne, as we just saw in the previous graphic and animation. By 6 o'clock in the evening, around 31 to 37. Here comes the peak. It's going to be late in the evening hours towards midnight. 36 in Daytona, that's it for your sustained. 43 at that time in Titusville, 41 in Melbourne, around 30, 35 around Metro Orlando. So not sustained tropical storm force, but there will be gusts above 39 miles per hour with some of those squally bands. And then as we get into Wednesday in the early morning hours, strong winds up in Palm Coast at 41. Gainesville, you're up to 23. Ocala, you're 25. And then as we go through the latter part of the morning, the winds are still strong on Wednesday, but then they do start to ease up, come in out of the west. The drier air starts to come in, and everything completely moves out of the picture by evening. Again, look at the satellite picture again, showing now it's not symmetrical anymore. The whole, look at all this on the east side of the center. So again, that's an indication of the wind shear. The steering flow is beginning to hit it. And again, that's going to allow the system to move more to the north as opposed to moving to the north and west. So you always look at kind of where it gets what I call heavy, and it's heavy on that side. Here's the rainfall forecast again right now showing, and I don't believe this has been shifted yet, so we're overlaying the official forecast track, but this rainfall will actually shift to the east when the new model run comes in. Still calling right now for some heavier showers along the coast, but overall I'm expecting about 1 to 3 inches of rain. Here is an updated version of the local model, again showing how much rain will come down. This one only showing again about 3 inches now along the coastline, and only about 1/2 of an inch to 1.5 inches. That's it. In Orlando, very little rain out to the west of Orlando. The storm surge is still expected to be high. Again, those numbers may come down with some new information from the local office, but right now we're going to keep it at 6 to 8 feet. Again, that would be for the entire length now of our east coast, all the way down towards Indian River County. Here's live radar. Again, the showers moving ashore. They will continue through the night. They will be picking up during the day tomorrow. Again, with this type of a setup, you just don't get thunderstorms. The upper atmosphere is too warm. There will be thunderstorms, but they'll actually form along the west coast of Florida. But for us, our upper level environment is just too moist, so we're not expecting that. But right now, some heavier showers currently moving through Meadowwoods and Kissimmee over the next 20 to 30 minutes, some bursts of wind, and with that also getting some wind gusts up to right around 35, 38 miles per hour. Charles and Luann, much more again locally with the wind and the rain. I'll have more on that, including a brand new 7-day forecast. Haven't seen that yet tonight. I'll have that too coming up.
Glenn, thanks so much. Well, for some people in the Bahamas, their homes are filling up with water. You can see items inside this home floating because there's so much water inside. One woman in Volusia County has not heard from some of her family members, and she says the flooding will make it really hard to rescue them.
It's nerve-wracking when you can't find or hear from your loved ones and you see the water raising. My sister is in a 2-story building in Queens Cove with about 8 more persons, and there's no way. The only way they could reach them right now is either by boat or jet skis or something like that. So I plead with my people laws, with those phones, that you guys would use it wisely, get on it and repost, keep on reposting, so the right authority could get the phone numbers and the Defense Force people can get the address and pictures of where to go to before it's too late.
The storm is forecasted to pull away from the Bahamas early tomorrow. Well, coming up next on the news station, Disney announcing when all the parks are closing because of the storm. We'll break down the times.
Plus, Hurricane Dorian forcing some major closures here in Central Florida, including Orlando International. We're going to take you to the airport next. Thousands of power crews are in place ahead of Dorian. Duke Energy, OUC, and FP&L bringing in workers from around the country, including Canada, to help restore power if it goes out.
Tonight, hurricane hunters continue to fly into Dorian, but some people here in Central Florida are trying to fly out.
Orlando International is closing in just a few hours. The news station's Evan Fitzgerald reports.
With Hurricane Dorian on its way, Orlando International Airport will shut down at 2 a.m. Now, that's 24 hours later than originally expected. So for hundreds of vacationers who were here in Central Florida, it gave them a little bit of hope that they will get out before the hurricane arrives. But right now, many are here looking up at those travel boards, seeing plenty of red, have their fingers crossed they'll make it out of here before the storm arrives.
You're aware that it can change at any minute, so there's an awful lot of looking at Twitter and looking at things, but hopefully we'll get out.
It's almost like it was cancelled and then it wasn't cancelled, so it's just unsure.
But luckily enough, we've actually made it today. Hopefully the flight will take off at 7 o'clock this evening.
And right now, no concerns, I guess?
Well, I'll be better when I'm up in the air.
And of course, there are also the Floridians racing the storm back home.
We went to bed thinking we would be flying out.
Right.
Woke up thinking that it was going to be canceled.
And then you found out that you would?
Yes, sir. It was very stressful.
It's been a little bit worrying, but nothing like it's going to be for the people who have to stay.
And of course, at this point, there's no word exactly how long the airport will be shut down before resuming operations. So for those who don't get out, there'll be a lot of waiting and a lot of watching with the rest of us. At Orlando International Airport, I'm Evan Fitzgerald, Fox 35 News.
Coming up from the news station, we head back out to the beaches. We're going to check on the storm surge, strong winds, and rain.
And be sure to download our free Fox 35 weather app. You can get the latest on Dorian's track, and you can watch us live right on that app, even if you lose power. We'll be right back.
I do, yeah. I've been trying to connect with you guys. 42. No.
We're going to come down the opposite way that we came last time, just so you guys know. Were you live? Mic check 1 2, mic check 1 2.
He is.
Right now on Fox 35, the news station.
Welcome back to our continuing coverage of Hurricane Dorian.
It is now 11:30. Let's check back in with the chief for the latest on Dorian's path. Hey, Glenn.
All right, yeah, it looks like, again, the forecast path has shifted a little further to the east, which, again, is fantastic news. Again, you can see the center of circulation right here still. Again, across the northern Bahamas, this will work its way north and also a little bit to the north and west. Again, that's the official forecast track. But, again, the good news tonight, you can see the western edge here of the cone never actually makes it to Florida, which again is fantastic news. That's the first time we have seen that occur. So again, great news again tonight that we are expecting to see this system again stay just offshore. Here's the latest again on Dorian. Right now, it is not moving at all. Currently, it is stationary. The winds are currently 130 miles per hour, so officially it is still a Category 4 hurricane. So it's right on the edge, almost a Category 3. It goes down 1 more mile per hour. It'll then be down to a Category 3. That will happen later on tonight and also, again, during the day tomorrow. It's becoming misshapen, which is great news. Again, notice to the north and all of this now to the east with the eye way over here. Again, that's an indication that eventually it's going to start getting tugged up to the north and to the northeast. But right now the eye is still stationary, and unfortunately that is where the strongest winds are. And unfortunately that's sitting still right on the northern end of Grand Bahama Island. You can see the steering flow here coming in out of the southwest will continue to steer again this system eventually to the northeast and should hopefully also keep it long term offshore of the Carolinas. Here is the latest forecast track. Pressures come up a little bit more, now at 946 millibars. Its low point was yesterday, I believe, in the morning, and it was down to 910 millibars. That's when the winds were 185 with gusts at 220. That makes Dorian, just based on a pressure level, the 11th most intense hurricane in the Atlantic basin ever. So again, just based on the pressure, based on wind right now, it looks like it's going to come in as number 2, but we really won't know for sure until all of those observations are in, and that's not going to happen for probably a few more weeks. Right now, we are expecting as we go through the day tomorrow, this is at 8 p.m., the center is going to be offshore. How far? 100 miles or more. That's the good news tonight. So that number continues to grow. Remember earlier, it looked like it could be maybe 40, 50, 60. That would be pretty similar to what we had back with Hurricane Matthew. We're now talking 100 miles or more. Again, the winds will start to ease up a little bit, but still a Cat 3 off of our east coast, then eventually weakening down to a Category 2 off of North Carolina, and then eventually back down to a 1. Just a powerhouse Hurricane Dorian. All the models tonight, again, very tightly packed, again, keeping the center definitely still moving north and a little bit to the north and west. We are not expecting, again, to see this at all move towards Florida. As we talked about earlier, the cone no longer has any part of Florida in it, which is fantastic news. So that will not 100% be moving ashore here in the Sunshine State. Here's your look at the forecast for winds tomorrow. Winds will be about 22 miles per hour. This will be at about 9:30 in the morning up in Daytona and in around Sanford and Metro Orlando as we head towards the afternoon. Still blowing 22 to 24 mile per hour winds sustained. You know, even though the center is going to be staying offshore, remember, this has just got a big sprawling area of energy and wind. So those winds will be increasing tomorrow. You're definitely going to notice a difference as this system passes offshore. As we go through the evening hours, the winds along our coastline really start to pick up. About 45, 46 sustained. We could be looking at some gusts up to hurricane strength there. Still, that potential does exist. But overall, as you can see, we're not expecting really anything more than around a 45 to maybe 50 mile per hour sustained wind for a while along the coastline during the overnight tomorrow night at its peak. Again, that'll be the strongest winds in Orlando as we go through the day Wednesday. They kick around out of the west. It'll still be windy, but then some drier air will begin to move on in, and that, of course, will allow for the skies to begin to clear, and also eventually those winds will die down as we head into Wednesday night. Again, just a interesting setup right now with Dorian, again, starting to show signs of that move. Remember, it's been very, very well centered. You had the complete circle, and you had the eye right in the middle, but that is no longer the case. So again, this is great news for us for tonight. So Charles and Luann, continue to see more encouraging news. We also will get a brand new update again for the location from the Hurricane Center. I'll have that coming up here at the top of the hour at midnight.
Glenn, thank you. The Volusia County coast is under an evacuation order, but a lot of people are still partying on New Smyrna Beach.
Let's get out to the news station's Robert Guadarrama. He is live tonight. Robert, is it still busy out there? I guess the answer is yes.
Yeah, a Hurricane Dorian party underway here at Flagler Tavern. Take a look. All the folks here, you would never think that they were preparing for a serious storm, but, they tell me that this is what they do before every storm is this establishment stays open to the very last minute for the locals to come and just, let off some steam. You can see out here on the patio, some pipes being smoked here, but take a look across the street here on Flagler Ave. This is the main street through town. All the boarded up establishments, all kinds of shops, other bars here also boarded up. So other folks are taking it a little bit more seriously, right? They are prepared and have packed up ahead of the storm. Now, we spoke to a woman actually down on the beach earlier today because the beach was also busy. A lot of folks trying to take a look at the big waves. Let's go and hear what she had to say. Are you concerned at all about what's approaching?
I have been for days, and I kind of got tired of it, honestly, and we decided to come out and enjoy it, and it looks like we're going to be okay, I think.
All right.
I think we're fortunate.
And I'm sure she's happy to hear the latest news that Glenn just mentioned, that the storm is moving a little further away, it appears. Now, we are standing in an area that is under a mandatory evacuation right now, but that mandatory curfew does not go into effect until 6 o'clock tomorrow. So, again, we are going to be watching this closely. And coming up, we're going to take you down to the beach because high tide is about to hit here. We'll take a look at the shoreline coming up. For now, we're live at New Smyrna Beach. I'm Robert Guadarrama, Fox 35 News.
Further up to the north, people on Flagler Beach are in a similar situation.
The news station's David Bowden is live. David, good evening. What's the situation out there?
Well, I can tell you all day it has been a watch and wait situation. Folks have been watching the skies and waiting to find out exactly what's happening. There are 2 or 3 areas right now that are under a mandatory evacuation. That evacuation is supposed to be complete by 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, but folks here aren't really moving very quickly as they see the winds aren't really picking up yet. So I'm expecting that tomorrow folks will really get into that motion. They'll want to start moving because the county officials are telling them they want the evacuations to be complete by 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. We'll be watching and waiting for that situation as well. The folks behind me in this marina, this is the Palm Coast Marina. The folks have their boats stowed away. They are prepared. The marina is not letting anyone else in. It has closed. They say that the slips that are open are going to be left open, and that would give the boats room to move around without damaging other boats. So we're going to continue to watch this situation for you guys as well. We will be out here all day tomorrow and making sure that as the situation changes here, we of course will bring you the very latest information. For now, we are live in Volusia County. I'm David Bowden, Fox 35 News.
David, thank you.